I'm Ryan Smith-Wright, and I'm an armchair philosopher, and I want to do a deeper dive on engineered obsolescence. Engineered obsolescence is when, as an engineer, um, the policy part of the policy and part of your assigned or intrinsic goal is to ensure that a product fails after a certain amount of use, and I see this as an increasing and absurd problem. Um, I went to get a piece of audio equipment repaired this week, and it just reminded me of this issue, which I've long felt frustrated about. Uh, I spoke with a man who I think had some genius, it, some innate genius for repair in him. You don't always, it's not always easy to trust repair people, but in this case, I had the opportunity to. I told him I'm a data engineer, and I'm fascinated to learn a little bit more about hardware, and he brought me. He let me stick around while he looked at my sound system. I had spent about $500 on a piece of equipment that wasn't turning on. I knew enough to know it might be the power supply, and he did check that first, and he knew about immediately about the the boards present. Was able to fix some or strengthen some commonly weak connections on the board, and go through in a methodical way with knowledge of the systems to test which elements were getting power and isolate a component that might have power. And when I asked him about where he likes to buy his sound equipment, he just very quickly told me he wouldn't buy anything in the last um, in from recent decades. If you can find anything from, I think he said the 80s or 90s, basically the old, wooden uh, cases with tube powered amplifiers. I don't know if I'm saying the correct things. Maybe somebody can add some detail there, but um, these days everything's BPC, black plastic crap. And well, I've seen some evidence of that in many cases. Uh, I learned long ago that the way GE makes money on its engines is by repairs. So they don't make a profit on the engines themselves. And so by need or by or otherwise, the engines must be designed to wear down so that they need maintenance. I could be wrong, but someone told me this. Um, Now, what I see in the case of companies like Apple that are doing great service of good engineering for the world is that I suspect that most engineers in that space will be closer to this issue than I am, which is why I'm hoping maybe we might start a discussion with people who are closer to the issue. Um, I see it in software. Um, I haven't worked in product development space for large software as a service companies, but I see that what happens is there's a it's very expensive to respond to the needed upgrades. And so upversioning your software is a way of renewing the need for services. And that's not always the case. Again, I expect this should be a nuanced issue, which is why I hope this might be a discussion um, where folks share their perspectives. I think there's also a danger of assuming this is done with some negative intent or done on purpose. This might be an emergent phenomenon. Um, could also be true that I'm wrong. Could be true that um, what happens more often is that the assignments that engineers are given um, are to use some new technology in an experimental way as fast as they can. And because new technology arises so often, it just is actually more efficient for us to move on to a new technology than to make a long-lasting older technology. I would love to see some good science on this, but someone has named this topic, and I really think that, well, the right to repair movement, um, the folks in that space have brought this to light in a way that I think deserves public attention. So this is an example of absurd economic behavior. Um, so what do we do about it? What would we do instead? Well, I think that if we started to price our equipment in terms of price per year of expected use, a lot more people would be willing to pay a lot more for lower cost per year. I think when we avoid putting that on the actual sticker, I think we do everyone a disservice in the same way that in a way that we regulate having nutrition facts on food. So adding some meta information for the public good, having meta information about the expected cost per year of use. We might think about that similarly. In most cases, something of high quality, it is going to cost a lot more. People think they're being wise oftentimes by getting cheaper equipment. But if they haven't factored in the cost per year of usage, they haven't been wise. They've been fooled into buying something that's likely to break in a couple of years. Not all equipment maybe should stick around for that long, but there's plenty of examples. But our washing machines don't need so many new features. Most people would like them to work. Our heaters, our the basic equipment in our lives. There's a point of maturity where people should clearly understand whether they're paying for some innovation, paying a premium to try something on the cutting edge, or whether they're being wise to spend more because something is designed with many years of use in mind. And I also think for us to be wiser consumers, we need to more clearly help each other to value high quality as distinct from luxury. High quality as distinct from luxury, right? There are $1,000 bags that might be of such high quality that they're heirloom items. They might last for hundreds of years with minor repairs. And if you calculate the cost per year on a $1,000 bag, it might be comparable to a cheap one. It might be even better. It also might not. It might be a painted piece of fast fashion that people hope very quickly gets creased and stained, so you'll buy another one. And you ought to consider that. You ought to consider that every time you spend a lot of money. So where are my engineers at? Step up. Let's hear your stories about when you've been asked to engineer items and you felt that there was a selfish drive by the company that was counter to the public good, even if it was legal to do. And what do you think that we should do about it? Thank you, folks.